right, man.
Tim, I have two kinds of body wash in the shower.
Good for you, man. Don't make fun of me.
I got it as a Christmas present, though.
So why is yours a better decision?
No, it's not. I'm just as bad.
So we're equal. Why do you have to bring that up, man? Making me
Mind games, Tim. Mind games.
Okay, guys. So Sasquatch, bottom left corner, going to be your light pink Zerg player, still on my color, and I approve of that. I approve. Light pink is an awesome to play on the ladder. In the very far 12 o'clock position, actually, is going to be Value, your blue Protoss player, and there he is.
So, you said you get to pick light pink.
Yeah.
They should implement that, actually, for Heart of the Swarm for ladder. They should make it that when you ladder game, you can actually pick your color.
You are your color, aren't you, when you play?
Hmm?
You pick a color before you go, and it always stays a color, but to your opponent, you show up as red or blue. Isn't that like that?
I don't know. I think I always have team colors on because I...
Yeah, you must have team colors off. I don't. I turn it off.
Or red or whatever
so I can see light pink.
How do you actually get to pick your color?
I think
I have like 2,500 ladder kits. How do I not? Really?
Yeah, you just pick on your custom game and just stick with it, as far as I know. I don't know how the technology works, actually. I just think I'm light pink when I'm on ladder. I'm always light pink.
Super advanced Blizzard technology. We have no idea how it functioned.
That's the only way to do it. Sasquatch, a really cool guy. I met him at IPL for the first time. He actually shook my hand. I'm usually really quiet at events, so I usually wait for people to come up to me because I'm really bad at marketing and stuff. And just starting a conversation, I don't know, I'm just really bad at it.
Yeah.
But Sasquatch is like, hey, you're Robin, right? I'm like, yeah. And then I met him. He's such a cool guy. Actually really tall, and I think that's where he gets Sasquatch from. But he looks so young. It's just it's a weird mix how tall he is.
He's got a nice baby face, man. He's gonna look sick good in his 30s. I was talking with Trevor about that.
You're talking about Sasquatch here?
No, we were talking about baby faces.
Oh, they're just talking about his baby face in the middle of the office, just for the heck of it. It's a little bit awkward.
Trevor does live right next to us, but he's been in New Jersey for the last couple of weeks. Trevor Houston, if you guys don't know him, this is actually, it's Torch. He was in the first season of GSL, qualified as a Terran player.
Nice.
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
back in the day.
He's the only player in the IPL office who has actually competed in GSL. You know what? I'm trying to remember if he may have done Code S for the first season. I could be entirely wrong with that. It maybe just be Code A.
I believe you.
We need to figure out
that counts.
Yeah. Well, we looked at it the other day, and I was like, what? When I sent out a tweet, and I was like, it's Nest T, Polt, and there's one other player that they've made every single GSL.
Yeah.
They've never not qualified for at least Code A or Code S. And I remember looking at that first one and seeing Torch on there. I was like, wait a second. And then I clicked on it and it brought up a picture.
We saw Edward StarCraft today. That's how small of a world it is. Edward StarCraft was in our office today, guys. I don't know if you remember him, but he's a cool guy. I remember his interviews.
We were at a Korean barbecue place.
Yeah.
Or not a Korean barbecue. It was like a Korean, I mean, they really did. They had rice plates and burritos and stuff. It was all Korean, like bulgogi and bibimbap and stuff like that. And we just waltzed. Actually, Joshi, I think, saw him. And he was like, you look just like Edward StarCraft. He's like, I am Edward StarCraft. What?
And then greetings ensued.
Yep.
Well, guys, into the game. We're past the 4:30 mark. We do have a third base for a Zerg player. Very standard, especially on this map.
Yeah.
You normally want to get that third as fast as possible. And from there, you get a couple queens out, fall up into your gases, and then, of course, go up the tech that you want. And depending on what you scout, you actually may just go for a straight layer, then fall up into speed. It depends on what you see.
Yeah.
If you see a quicker third for your opponent, it's always great to go straight into a layer because you can go up into any tech you want to go for.
You're completely right. Now, as we approach about the 7-minute mark, this is the period of the game that if you are in Bronze, if you are in Silver, if you're even in Gold League as a Zerg player right now, just do exactly what Sasquatch is doing every single game against Protoss.
Just be more active with lings. Actually, if you're at a lower ladder, I'm okay with making a few more lings compared to the normal pro because it's not going to really affect your play that bad. And be active on the map. Grab the Nagas, put a couple outside of the natural as well.
Yeah, it's a big thing of efficiency, and in those lower leagues, you end up using builds that are inefficient. I've coached a lot of people in Silver League and stuff, and if you just work on these openings and make sure you don't miss simple things like injects. You note how the queens will never have energy; they'll have always just enough to continue injecting. And you don't supply block yourself. So those are two very important things for the first 7-ish minutes of the game. And right about now, you could actually throw down that Roach Warren to be safe. And from here, you just play your own thing. But if you can master this early stage of the game and make sure you just never do things like supply block, you'll actually improve your play substantially.
So Sasquatch is playing this really well, actually. He's going straight into that lair. As I mentioned, he has Forgotten Speed. And he's actually just going to use Ling to deal with the Zealot and the Probe here. He wants to make sure no pylons get down the map. He's going to follow them around.
He needs to be very careful about that, actually, Tim. Sasquatch Mage actually is probably, I don't want to say he's probably going to die, but this is going to be extremely difficult for him to manage to hold because his Roachborn is very, very, very late for a +1 4 gate, which is the build coming out of value right now. Warp gates are done. He's going to have +1 any second now, and this is basically going to be big Zealot Warp-ins that will annihilate Zerglings.
Yeah, I'd really like to see 2 Spine Crawlers set up beside that natural, and the third you just wait for units to pop out. Yeah, if you want for Stalkers instead of Zealots, it makes it a little bit easier for Sasquatch.
A lot, yeah.
You just need to get some roaches and just stay on creep here. Needs to pull his queen back to the middle line as well. I wouldn't even mind having a third one actually started up there. He's got a Spine Crawler inside his third base. There we go. Pulls the queen on back. And what he needs to go for here is the Lings need to flow around and get that pylon, because that's the thing that's going to make this hurt the most. And this Queen's actually in trouble. He's bringing his Lings here, but he doesn't have speed. Remember, he forgot that to go ahead and get Lair. Lair tech is done, but it's kind of useless for him right now.
Well, the Zealots are going to be able to two-shot Lings, but the Stalkers are not helping the Zealots right now. Instead, they're shooting miscellaneous things like Extractors and Overlords, not killing them. The value throws away 2 Zealots there, which were incredibly valuable because they destroy these 0-0 Lings. Free Stalker as well, and Sasquatch is looking like he's actually going to manage to hold this because of some small mistakes out of value.
Yeah, I just need to make sure to retain his Roaches here. The Lings he can afford to lose now because he's gotten his Roaches, which are actually, at this point, his valuable units. I know when he gets to the mid-late game, they become lasting units. But for now, he's actually going to make Value retreat here. Value making a pretty big mistake there, as you mentioned.
Oh, and Speed's going to finish. He's going to get beautiful big surrounds on these. Should really go for these Stalkers. The Zealots are already dealt with. And he's actually just going to let these Stalkers go. That's 5 Stalkers. If he had chased those down instead of those Zealots, definitely could have cleaned them up. But, you know, it's tough to make those split-second decisions, of course, and opted to just play it safe, tank out the Zealots, and move on in this game. Sasquatch has got, I got to say, it looks like he feels pretty comfortable with his position right now.
Yeah, he's going to feel very strong no matter what, even not chasing those, because, A, for going for that 4-gate harass, you delay your Robo, your Twilight Council for a good couple of minutes there. So for a while here, Value's not going to have really any strong strength. He's not going to have that many Immortals on the ground here. He's now going to be starting to go Sentries out, which again, that's more gas thrown away, not attacking up, of course. So from there, he's slowing down his upgrades as well. He can only afford to be on one Forge, and that's it. So Sasquatch is going to make sure he doesn't get a third. I don't think he's going to really all in him here. I mean, he is putting some aggression on. He wants to go straight for that Forge. If he can kill that Forge, that would be nice. Slowing down that armor, oh my gosh, that would be quite painful for Value, but he can't really do too much here. I like him pulling back and just needs to float around and make sure no third goes up.
Yeah, overall, that's the exact thing I was thinking, Tim. This is a style of play that we actually see out of Stefano very often. He loves making a small band of Speedlings and Roaches, having them active on the map. We see it every time on Cloud Kingdom. I can't remember last time I saw PvZ without it. But yeah, using these units to deny that third base is really the advantage that Sasquatch needs to make sure he continues to capitalize on right now.
See how scared Value is here? As soon as he got any inkling that Zerglings are coming his way, he didn't even see them. He saw something die in the middle of the map, but he just immediately retreated back to his natural. He can't really take this third quite yet. A Pierce around here with reinforcements could do a lot of damage. Oh, these force fields though, Sasquatch being a little bit too ballsy there, walks up a little bit and gets force fielded and loses a lot of Roaches. And actually misses that Sentry. So nice micro from Value, and now he's open to get that third.
He did get 2 though, which is actually a great trade there. Value was a little slow to pull them back, and Sasquatch didn't miss a beat in immediately target firing those when he saw his units were segmented off. But ultimately, yeah, didn't manage to get all of them. 3 still surviving, but a huge transition here from Sasquatch is going to be scouted by the Observer. Maybe? I'm not actually sure if he managed to see them.
Check into the main to see the actual Spire itself.
Well, let's see if he's thrown out a Twilight Council. 2 cannons are going down. Where exactly? They're being thrown down over at the third. That's not going to be very helpful. The Mutalisks, however, the Stalkers are in position, so it looks like he's aware that these are about to swing in. Well,
it just does effectively contain Value for a while. I'd like to see a 4th base actually. There's one already on the way here for Sasquatch. So he's moving up in terms of the hatch rates, of course, and increased break could be a little bit better, but he's playing in composition actually. It takes a lot of attention from you. Ling Muta is one of the compositions that does a lot of strong damage, but if you leave them around for a little bit, suddenly they can just die off very, very quickly. It's one of those compositions that you have to be very tedious with. So he's going to poke in here and there, but for the most part, I feel like Value's in a pretty defensive spot in terms of his natural, but this third actually is in trouble, and Sasquatch senses it. Oh my gosh, this Zealot's blocking all those stalkers, and he actually can't get down there. Did he actually focus down those sentries there, or did he focus down...
No, he definitely did focus the sentries. Cool. We can see there are none remaining. Then used it to fall back. But yeah, Value unable to reinforce with those stalkers was actually huge there. He simply walked them out, and the Zealot was on hold position. So because he couldn't bring those stalkers out, it was a ton of damage to the Mutalisks that he wasn't able to do. 3 sentries were recreated here, however, by Value.
Well, from here, this is just... I feel like Sasquatch needs to be more aggressive, but Value's doing a good job of defending everything, because when you're playing with this composition, it will fall off. This is a mid-game composition that's really strong at that point, but you get in the late game where upgrades are starting to hit, and Mutas and Zerglings, they just die so easily that the upgrades really don't matter as much. It looks like he is going for Banelings, though, which is nice, because as you mentioned, he actually came in and sniped all those sentries, so he's like, okay, so my opponent's not going to have force fields. Suddenly, if I get Banelings with Baneling speed, it's going to be a little bit easier to deal with him, and if I get some any area effect damage done here, my Lings and Mutas will kill off anything. Yeah. But as mentioned, Value is getting a couple of sentries here and there, so he should be okay. He's going to have less force fields, but he should be okay.
Yeah, the sentry count is low, but honestly, I mean, Zealots are the things that kill Lings really well, and it's too easy. If you pour a lot of gas into sentries, all your opponent does is snipe them with the Mutalisks, so you really don't want to invest all that much. 2 or 3 sentries so you can throw down a couple force fields is a great thing to have, and no more, not too many less.
Well, we do have Baneling speed on the way. We have +2/2 on the way as well, and +2 weapons actually for the Mutalisks. So they are moving up in those upgrades. We do have a 5th base in the top left corner going down for Sasquatch. Now at this point, I'm actually okay with him going for 1 more base, double expanding to the right side, but he's deciding that he wants to get aggressive here. Look at those Banelings, 22 now on the way, and this engagement's going to be very, very important for Value. How does he defend this?
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit tough. There are a lot of Banelings and not a lot of force fields. But he's got a very nice wall-up that he actually just kind of impromptu made here, and that's because he has an Observer sitting over the entire army. Beautiful positioning here, and this is going to make it so much easier for Value to actually engage this.
He actually has a lot of Stalkers overall. This Mutaflux is pretty scary, but with some decent micro and he can get rid of the Zerglings, those Mutas might actually potentially fall. Gotta be careful though. I just don't know how he's going to engage this. I actually feel like he should bring those units around to the natural, but again, that Observer's there. This is hard for Sasquatch to straight up engage, but he invested so much he kind of has to go now.
It's very all in at this point. Sasquatch does not have a lot of outs from here. He's waiting for +2 to complete as well, centrifugal hooks before he strikes. Did try to go for a little maneuver, but force fields trap the Baneling Stalkers, continuing to get damage in with the Mutas. But here's the thing, Tim, Storm is almost complete. When Storm is done, this push is over.
Wow, clutch Storm time actually. Is there even High Templars here? He doesn't have any in the area that I can see. Yeah, no High Templars actually at that 3rd. He's got 1 warp, and that might be at his natural in case any lane buys do happen. But now finally he's trying to get in here, and this is just, he can't do anything. He's just going to go ahead and go straight for the Nexus. What? That's one of those where you're like, oh my gosh, seriously? Like, that just happened to me. The force field actually may have saved that. It may have prevented 2 or 3 Baneling spots from doing too much splash damage. So nice job with the Mutas. They come in and they swoop in, snipe that pretty quickly there. Now we have Value with, what, 65 probes on 2 bases, which is a little bit on the oversaturated side, believe it or not. And so from here, all we need is Zelnaga towers, and we just kind of have all our macro hatches ready to go, and we just deal with whatever comes our way. Sasquatch's in a really good position here. Does he have Hive? I want to see. No Hive quite yet.
Yeah, he's actually really stayed back. You know, we were mentioning how it was kind of all-in-ish, but he got in some damage that's going to slow things down for Value substantially. Yeah. Worth noting. But Value's upgrades are going to be at 3-2 here in a minute. Sasquatch has kept up with his. He's actually got +2 air. He's got 2-2 on the ground. So great positions all around. Hive now started up. He's going to be transitioning out of this, and he's going to go for another really big attack right now. Storm doing a ton of damage to these units, though.
That Storm hit way too much. Some Banelings do get in here and do a decent amount of damage here, but the Mutas are what's important. He's got to retain his Mutas here. He does retain them, so it doesn't really matter. He has so many bases, he can just constantly reinforce the Lings, but I actually don't want him to go into Lings here. I want him to fall up into a different composition, of course. He can go straight into Roaches because he is getting +1. I think that's his plan here. Just going to get Lings to be safe in case a counterattack did happen. And he's also falling up into a Festers. He's slowly transitioning into a different army. The thing is, when you go Mutaling, Baneling, and they try to transition to a different army, it's so gas intensive. Yeah. And it takes forever to do that. It's essentially like going straight bio and then maybe going to mech if you're a Terran player. It's so hard to do, especially in the mid game.
Yeah, it's definitely very difficult. But Sasquatch has done a great job, though, Tim, of keeping up with those larva inject. You know, you mentioned you didn't want to go see him go into Ling. I mean, he's going for another big Baneling attack here. I'm curious what he's going to do with it. If he can deny this 3rd once again, Value's actually not going to really be mining much anymore. So we'll see if he, I mean, if he manages to take out this base once again. Another base going down for Value, though, but that one's going to be a lot more vulnerable. Muta's able to swing in so much easier.
Banning in the very far top left corner. Pretty funny.
Pretty crazy.
He can get away with it, though.
He's got the map control.
Yeah, completely. He has so much map control. Value is, though, getting a fourth base, as you can see in the middle of the map here. A little outside of his fourth. And this map's, it's actually a little bit easy to deal with that, although the Mutas suddenly become a little bit stronger in this situation. They can actually poke in from the side and actually do a lot of damage. And then there's so many Stalkers outside of that fourth, he can just go straight to that third and focus it down right away. So watch for Sasquatch's maneuverability here. This is really what the Mutas are really going to show their strength at.
All right, well, Muta's coming forward right now. We should see a blink here. Value's actually going to blink away. Doesn't know that those units are waiting for him on the other side of that ramp.
Yeah, if he would have blinked forward, he saw the Observer, I think, saw a couple of Infestors, and that made him pull back right away. Nice awareness, because I would have jumped on that immediately.
All right, well, Mutas are not going to have the opportunity to draw some units into the main, possibly. Colossus is a little bit out of position here. Storm going down, definitely preventing these Banelings from pushing forward. A couple casualties on the field. Manages to, well, lose a Mutalisk to a cannon and turns around.
At least you got a pylon, right? Mothership on the way now for Value, and suddenly the competition for Value.
Banelings. Nice. That's a little bit of a waste. There weren't many units coming to reinforce that. He's actually just throwing Banelings into units or into random structures at this time.
I don't know, I kind of like it. Oh my gosh, the Templars actually on the way. They do get some nice stuff.
Wow, look at the hit points on these Banelings.
Pretty darn low, and they're actually going to go through 4. I think he's just second mace. He wants to move into something different. He's going to be moving into Broodlords. You need to clear up a lot of supply. And by killing that fourth, Sasquatch is just still on that one base in that third. The main and the natural are pretty much mined out. By looking at the minimap, I'm not sure on minerals, but I can assume getting 22 minutes in, that natural's pretty much gone. Lings here will just keep map control. Keeps Value back a little bit and allow him to switch into the Broodlords, the really strong late game army. This route that he took is like a route that takes forever to get Broodlords, but he did it beautifully. He kept map control, he kept popping in here, killing off the Nexus here and there. So overall, Sasquatch playing actually a pretty nice game.
He's going to have Mutas going around to the left-hand side once again and doing that constant harass, Tim. I mean, I got to agree with you. The play out of Sasquatch has been immaculate, and Value took a very long time to manage to get over into that Storm Tech. So, I mean, having lost his third base, now trying to establish a fourth once again, while Sasquatch has been sitting on 6 bases throughout the course of this entire game, has really, really just cost him.
Ooh, if he gets that Fleet Beacon, yeah, he's doing it. He can target the Archives as well. Nice done here, getting some important tech here. I would like to get the Twilight Council, but
that is the longest Congo line.
Quite a train, man. He's actually, okay, is he going to go all in on this? Okay, I don't know if he's going to go all in on Twilight Council and just remax with Infestor Broodlord, but still going to go ahead and keep harassing. These Mutas are doing a good job. He's had some good Muta control overall. For the most part, I would have probably lost all these Mutas by the 12-minute mark, to be honest with you. So going straight to the third. And there's actually no photon cannons except for this one to really zone out these Mutas. He's going to go ahead and focus down a couple of probes as well, but overall he's doing some nice economic damage in the late game. And he needs these resources as well. Look at his resources. They're actually really low for a 24-minute game.
Yeah, they definitely are. I mean, he's been continually denied on those bases. A nice Zealot Warp in right now, however, is going to force some Zerglings to come respond. Look at this choke doing so much damage. Killing Ling after Ling after Ling. He's going to try to draw the Zealots forward a little bit. No, in fact, he's just going to move all his units, let the Spine Crawler clean up the remains.
Oh, nice awareness there, actually.
This is why you like to have Mutas on the field, though, in the later stages of the game. 4 or 5 Mutas can do wonders versus some Warp Prism harass like we're seeing right now out of Value.
Well, looking into Value, just constantly churning it. Sasquatch just churning out these upgrades. Corruptors are on the way. Look at this army. Look how many Broodlords he has. How many is that? What? Was it 11? 11 Broodlords in the field?
I mean, his position right now is phenomenal. The biggest thing for him is going to be engage on Value side of the map.
Yeah.
You know, if he loses this army, he's not going to be able to resupply if it's on his side. Value will just pummel him into the ground. But if he loses an engagement on Value side of the map, well, suddenly he has a lot of options available to him because he's got 2,000 gas, 5,000 minerals. How many larvae? 36 right now, and that's just going to continue growing.
So the good thing here for Sasquatch is he's got a nice amount of Meta still. So he can actually, once these Stalkers blink onto the Broodlords, A, deal with the Stalkers, or B, charge straight into that that Mothership. Actually, did he throw all of his Metas away? Okay, so he went straight into Corruptors. Okay, so he has a lot of Corruptors, so the Metas are gone. But he has Corruptors here that's about to have +3 air weapons, and they will destroy that Mothership so quickly.
They really will. A lot of High Templar here, though. A ton of High Templar, in fact. Which are very, very good versus Broodlords. Slow units. Storms can kind of sit on them forever, and Broodlords, of course, do stack up quite a lot.
I think Value has a good opportunity to make an engagement work in his favor, though, overall. How many investors are actually on this field? Oh,
Not many.
He's got a decent amount,
Yeah,
but there are
8.
some chances to miss some fungals, and actually his Blink Stalkers get in and do some nice work.
Ooh.
Gotta be careful with these Corruptors, though. Sasquatch lacking a little bit in control at the moment. Lost a few Lings a little bit earlier here, losing a couple Corruptors, and those are starting to hurt getting in the late game.
Yeah, 3 or 4 of them going down immediately there. He is continuing to work on those upgrades, starting up +2 Carapace. But I'd really like to see, you know, more Infestors, maybe some less Zerglings. And Sasquatch, I abhor that he's bringing his units back right now, though. Because the last thing that Sasquatch can have happen to him is fight on this side of the map. That's so important for him to, if an engagement occurs, to have it happen, you know, up here.
Yeah.
Where he's going to have the opportunity to reinforce.
If he wants to fight it there, he needs Spine Crawlers. He doesn't have any Spine Crawlers actually laid out. Now finally getting onto it. 4 Spine Crawlers in the way, but they're actually here to defend this base, and of course the base top left corner. But he has no Spine Crawlers for a defensive fight. If he wants to do a defensive fight and wait till his army comes to him, fine. Put some Spine Crawlers though down. You have to do it, because again, you need to slow down the army from actually engaging on you. Because if any Protoss walks in and sees no Spine Crawlers, they're going to go all in. They're going to do their best to get straight up underneath your Broodlords and, of course, land a nice Vortex if they can.
Well, Fungal Growth going to trap a couple of these Stalkers. Broodling's going to try to chase them down. Those are the Broodlords that kind of like, they just catch the wind a certain way and they just glide for a really long time before they actually
flying
do
squirrels.
crash.
That's what I was thinking of when you said that, like the flying squirrels that jump and they guide their way or glide their way to another tree. So he just has all his units just clumped up here, and it looks like Sasquatch, like you mentioned, does want to just sit back and play the defensive game. He's got so many resources to follow up with a, I guess, just a pure remax afterwards. Actually, 4,000, 4,000. Gosh, that is so much.
Yeah, I just don't. He's maxed out an incredibly large amount of money. I don't see too much of a point from Sasquatch's perspective right now in not picking fights, because there's no bank here for value. Every unit he kills after the first 3 Stalkers, Value's not going to be able to replace immediately. And Sasquatch, on the other hand, can recreate absolutely everything. He's making 15 spines, though, and it looks like he's going to go for, like, an unstoppable engagement. Because when you start making spine crawler counts like this, you know, 15, 20, 30 spines, and you can just kind of creep your way forward and make it that you can't lose the fight, because if the Stalkers blink in, they just die to the spines.
To be perfectly honest, though, it's just, you see that composition, and how many times have you engaged a Protoss army thinking you're alright and just die? Yeah, it's really hard for him to be aggressive, and I can understand it. He may think, maybe I just didn't do enough damage. He doesn't see that his opponent doesn't have that many resources. And so overall, he's just thinking, maybe we're on even grounds. In a situation where it's even grounds, and you get broken through something, you just die. So I can understand Sasquatch sitting back, but again, I agree with you. Like, with the stuff that we know, the bird's eye view, he can definitely engage and be alright.
I mean, he could get trounced in the engagement. This is entirely possible. The big thing behind it, of course, is just that he has to fight. But right now he's going to move forward with the army as he gets an opportunity here, pulling Value's army out of position. He'll use this. It looks as if he might take the Xel'Naga towers and station up here in the front. We'll see if these spine crawlers come forward in just a moment. This will be a great opportunity to station them here.
Something we haven't mentioned is we actually have a 5th base finally in the top left corner for Value. He has established that, so that's definitely helping him out a lot. Sasquatch apparently is aware of it with all those changelings popping out, and it looks like we might just have an engagement very soon. A missed fungal, it sounded like there. Trying to go for, I guess, some Stalkers. I guess they blinked right away.
Well, I like that he has 16 Infestors here now.
Yeah, he finally can just, put a wall in front of him, and oh my gosh, those storms. I love that patch. It just kills eggs right away. It's so nice to have Side Storm with you. So a nice little warp in happening here, going straight for that spawning pool, and this is going to do a couple of things. It's going to make Sasquatch either run the heck away or just straight up engage. It's always scary having Zealots in your main.
Yeah, I mean, these are, even Dark Templar, they are going to shred through the structures in here. Zerglings are going to come in right now and try to do what surround they can on them to prevent them from moving, but he doesn't even get the full surround. Actually, he's just, I guess he thought they were Zealots trying to answer it, but it looks like he's going to start engaging up here, picking off this base over at the Rich Vespine. Geyser, Dark Templar are now ravaging a little bit around the main. He rebuilds the spawning pool actually in the same position, but I'm sure we see other ones around the map as well, and yes, in fact, we do. And more Spires as well.
Well, it looks like that 4th base did get killed off by those Blue Lords finally, and he actually has a giant concave. If you look at the mini-map, he just has this huge area in terms of where he has so many Zerglings just flooding their way forward. And these Zerglings actually going to pop up here on this 5th base. Now it's a 4th one. That was weird. That jagged jump. I did have it in my mouse as well when I was observing once. So it's hard, so hard. I want to stress how hard it is for Value to actually go in this. Actually blinks the Stalker forward. He wants to get an idea where the Infestors are at, and he sees them all. Oh my gosh, a pretty big fungal there actually landing straight on the Mothership. The Archons actually couldn't move to that fungal. And Infested Terrans are going to be landing here after the storm hit, to be honest with you. A nice Vortex. Oh my gosh, is he going to throw everything in there?
Yeah, this is actually, you throw Infested Terrans into the Vortex, and this is going to make it so easy for when these pop out. Sasquatch is going to have a bajillion and a half Infested Terrans. Broodlords are being sniped right now, however, by these Stalkers. Sasquatch is still ahead in supply. The Archons managing to take out the Broodlords, though, that were caught by that Vortex. And suddenly we have 119 supply here for Sasquatch. The Spinecrawler still sitting at home. We'll need to see them come into factor here as Sasquatch he's going to be able to remax from this, but the question is on what. He does have his Spire, Greater Spire still standing.
I'm a little disappointed in Sasquatch. I really felt like he has a potential there to do a lot of damage control, actually. Because when that Vortex went down, he actually moved forward a little bit with his Broodlords, and I think that was actually Value pulling back because those Broodlords were on A move, and he actually got about 5, 6, 8 more Broodlords into that Vortex.
Oh, really?
And then secondly, he threw all of his energy straight into that Vortex, which meant there were no fungals available, which allowed for Value to go ahead and blink forward and deal with all the Broodlords. Sasquatch, unfortunately, just expended everything. He blew it all in one load, and he paid for it, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough engaging a Protoss army with a full Zerg. I mean, as we kind of, you know, it's a situation that a lot of players are saying right now, you know, Zergs, you kind of just have it, but hey, maybe Sasquatch is going to be able to rally something from here. He does still have quite a bit of gas to make Infestors with. We see 12 of them on the way right now. His Greater Spire is in danger, though, so he's going to start morphing another one down here at this Spire that we did see earlier that he was making, and he's going to use these Infestors to be able to clean up these Archons that are actually formerly Dark. They were Dark Templar, and they're just cleaning up droves of Zerglings.
Yeah, they're going to destroy them, especially with all the upgrades. So I like that Sasquatch at least had backup tech available. He had Spires ready to turn into, of course, another Greater Spire. He had a Infestation Pit. He has 2 of them on the map. That's always nice to have. So kudos to that, but again, suddenly this game has become so much harder for him. He had such a strong mid game. We were so proud of him, but his late game just threw me off a tad bit. He had 3 to 4 Overseers all the time with the army. Why don't you use those Scout? Get a little more aggressive, you know?
I think we could honestly have expected it, Tim, that it's not too much of a surprise because he was really, really intimidated to approach Value's army. And, you know, he had a bank of 4K. That's the time when you typically push as a Protoss, unless you're like Stefano, who just loves to sit back and make a virtually Corruptor Brood army, and that's it, and just billions and billions of them. And he didn't move forward with the Spinecrawlers. You know, he left them sitting in the back. You can bring those upwards as you creep your units forward. So it wasn't too surprising to see Sasquatch have a hard time with the engagement, because it must be something that he is aware, that he does struggle with.
Well, 9 more Broodlords on the way, 7 Infestors in. The good news for Sasquatch is, of course, after losing that whole entire army, he now has more room for more Infestors. So that's always a positive here. Yeah,
and he's got 9 more Broods on the way right now. If we take a look at Value, he's got a little under 24 Stalkers at this moment. But there's a ton of Infestors with this army out of Sasquatch right now. Actually, where's all of his supply? Because Value's sitting at 179, and I'm just like,
You're just going for pure Infestor Broodlord, man. You got a few Lings in the field as well. Does have the side bases at the same time, and we're getting to a point where the base is starting to get a little bit mined out. Now, good news as well during that whole entire engagement is Sasquatch did kill off that base in the very far top left corner as well, that 5th base value, so that's always good to know. A couple of 4 Blink Stalkers actually come in here and try and kill off some ghosts. No, they're actually going straight for the hatchery. That hatchery low on health is actually bleeding, yeah. Getting into the red here, very, very close, but with some Lings, looks like Sasquatch will, of course, defend it very quickly.
Yep, manages to secure that. Zealots are going to be warping in to this natural expansion, which at this point we'll just call the main from here on out. Hive is going to be, well, in danger. Infestors are spawning, though. We'll see if we see Infested Terrans. The Rocheborn is going to get taken out. Meanwhile, Sasquatch is getting ready to move into an aggressive position. Feedback's going down on the Infestors, though. I want you in my room, spend the night together.
Well, this Warp Prism Harass has actually been doing a really good job. First off, when you go Infestor Broodlord, oh my gosh, it is so hard to deal with these, because A, you have to land a fungal on them, and then of course follow up with Infested Terrors and kill them off immediately here. But he can't really afford to leave 2 Infestors at each base. That's essentially, what, 10, 12 Infestors that he doesn't have in his army, and that means he has only 8 with the actual army, because he had 20 the last time we checked. So, I don't know, man.
It's going down.
It's so hard to deal with these, and I wouldn't mind him having a good, like, 5 to 6 meals on the field to deal with that Warp Prism. But the Infestor train is now here, falling Scarlet, actually, in terms of trying to win a game with Disappear Infestors. Good luck. I hope he can do it. That would be kind of crazy to see. Archon does get killed off as well, and Sentry, and you know what? Value's still scared of his opponent. Believe it or not, it's still hard to engage an Infestor Broodlord. And he sees there's, okay, well, I killed my opponent last time. He had less Infestors. Oh, wait, he's gone double the Infestors. That's actually way harder to engage.
Yeah, I mean, Value at this point, he's like, look, I've played this very slow. I was incredibly behind. Things are looking in my favor. I'm not going to push my luck right now. And I think that's a really intelligent decision out of Value, who's realizing, you know, my opponent at this point, what's he got? He's got a lot of Infestors this time around, in fact. Oh my goodness, it's 32 Infestors.
There's more purple than there is health bars. And Value just holding his high ground. It's really hard for Sasquatch to actually push into this high ground, go up that ramp, because he'll take way too much damage. He'll straight up die. So he's just holding that. And unfortunately, I think, as I'm looking at the resources, I feel like Value is just going to get starved out. Can we go through the bases really quick?
Yep.
Main, natural, third, fourth. Okay, fourth's got some decent stuff there. Third's got like speckles there. And this fourth is all. That's it, yes. And everyone's like kind of just running and low on econ here. There's only one base in the top left corner, but it's hard for both players to grab it. First off, if you leave this third, or this whole entire, I guess it's these 4 bases here, if you leave that center as Value, suddenly you get run-bys happen. You're going to lose a lot of pylons, of course, you're going to lose basically your entire infrastructure, and you're going to go into a base race scenario, so you just can't expand there. It's really, really hard. And the same thing for Sasquatch. It's on his opponent's side of the map.
Yeah, this is getting really, really interesting, actually, as I mean, they're running out of money, man. It's going to come down to one really big engagement. If it doesn't, Sasquatch should be the player that wins, because in the long run, Infestors do last longer, but things are starting to heat up a little bit. We could have our fight. Feedback's going down on a lot of these Infestors. There's still plenty remaining, however, Vortex capturing a lot of the units, and quite a few of those Broodlords. In fact, there are only, well, 5 or 6 sitting outside the Vortex, throwing tons of infested Terrans in there with it.
Pretty solid engagement there, actually, from Sasquatch. Let's watch that Vortex pop open, and there it goes. And we're going to see the damage. No, for the most part, he actually does a good job of grabbing those Broodlords.
Oh my gosh. Another Vortex.
Nice. Follows up with the second Vortex. Super well done there. You know what? The Archon's jumping straight into that Vortex as well. It's just Infestors now, but he did retain energy this time. He learned from the first time. He's going to be able to pop out those beach balls as well and spread everything out right away. Let's see if he's able to get another fungal down. He does get a fungal. Infested Terrans comes out as well, and another fungal as well reveals those Colossi, and there's a couple of Corruptors here. This engagement is actually looking okay for Sasquatch, because he can run away and get energy.
Well, we'll see if he can finish that mothership. It's down to 6 hit points. It does go down. And the Broodlords are now going to be able to pressure things. Look at the bank right now for Value. He has no money. Sasquatch still at 800 minerals. We'll be able to reinforce this with Speedlings. We see 12 on the way. Every unit at this stage of the game, folks, is going to matter. It is down to 1 Zergling. We're going to see more of them popping out momentarily. More Infestors on the way as well for Sasquatch. And I kind of agree with you, Tim. You know, if he can push this right now, he's going to have a little bit of an advantage, because the Infestors are mostly out of energy. They may need to sit on this Spine Crawlers for a little while, but if they do, they're going to get all that energy back, and then we could see a big, powerful push from Sasquatch.
Give it 45 seconds to a minute, and suddenly all those Infestors have a fungal available to them, and there's a ton of Infestors there. And of course, you land a fungal on this army, that army that we just see there. It's very, very small. Suddenly you can just kill them off with the few Broodlords you do have. There are, of course, Dark Templars doing some harassment once again. Value has been doing a good job of keeping up with that in the late game. That's really hard to do, constantly staying on top of them and not ever losing that Warp Prism, because of course, 1-2 fungals, suddenly that Warp Prism could be in trouble.
Oh, and this is actually really difficult. At least he does have an Overseer and was able to find it. Broodlords are getting in a little bit of free damage right now, but Sasquatch actually doesn't have a lair, so he can't make any additional Overseer, so the Dark Templar definitely proving to be a little bit of a challenge for him.
That's a good point.
Has managed to hold on the Infestation Pit, however, so he's continuing to churn these out, as well as his... Does he have a, actually... I don't think he has a Spire anymore.
No, there was one down that bottom right third, but I think it was killed off as well as by that high that you mentioned.
These have been some crazy games.
Yeah. These fungals are now available. The Infestors have gotten their energy back.
Some of it.
Yeah.
No reason not to continue to wait here, however, with the incomes from both players totaling not 1,000 of any resource. That's actually a little bit of a tough call. Value is bringing in a lot more money than Sasquatch at this time.
Oh my gosh, this game is such a standstill.
Oh no! His only important base. He doesn't have an Overseer anywhere near it, and he can't make Overseers. That hatchery's going to go down, and we do have an engagement, but in front of the Spine Crawlers here. What do you think about this, Tim? Adding a lot of damage.
Well, it looks like the Stalkers actually did blink in and catch off the Broodlords. There was 4 there, I believe. 3 just got killed off, there's only 1 left. So now it's just Infestors falling up into just the lanes here. We need a fungal to land, but it looks like Sasquatch is so scared. And, you know, he has all these Infestors grouped up. He needs to try and spread them out a little bit. Look at that, 2 to 3 shots, and suddenly he's lost 6 Infestors. You can't be doing that. You need to either A, just go in straight and engage, or like he was doing the very first time we had a full engagement, having 2 going at a time and fungal.
Yeah, but, you know, I feel like Sasquatch has got to feel a little bit pressured right now because he's lost that hatchery, his only mining base. Feels like he's running out of time, running out of options. But I don't know if now's the time that he's going to be able to push this. Colossus is going to continue adding so much damage. Maybe if he can snipe this Nexus, but now we've got this base. It's still got 200, it's got about 500 minerals at it that Value will be able to mine as well, whereas Sasquatch can't mine from anything, Tim.
Value is so smart. We're having lines of infested Terrans being thrown down, and he's just backing up, waiting for them to die off. So all his energy is effectively getting lost by Sasquatch. Look how many infestors he has.
But he's going to be able to kill the Nexus,
That's
and
nice.
Value cannot rebuild another. He's going to be forced to mine off this base, but there are 500 minerals there.
This game, man, it's intense. I don't know what's going to happen.
Oh, he's trying to mine once again. How many drones actually right now? He's still got 30 drones. Both players sitting around the 30 to 50 mark on that worker count. They just can't mine right now. There's only 35 minerals here. This is not even worth bothering with at this point. Yeah, just long distance mine from here.
Is that there's going to be a DT going down there very soon. I can almost guarantee you. There it is, actually.
Fungal growth.
It,
The infested Terrans are going to clean it up. Every unit counts right now. That's a big win for Sasquatch for sure.
This is so much dancing around.
All right,
long distance mining is helping. Both players doing long distance mining now, both off of one mineral patch. One patch of mineral patches.
That was actually really good of Value to protect these probes, because if there happened to be an infestor or 2 over there, he could have lost every single probe to a chain fungal.
This is a Wyro tactic. Wyro tactic special tactic number 52. Follow your probes in a long distance mining formation with your army. I'm serious. He did it against Stefano. This is a Wyro tactic. I'm telling you, man. It's a fact. This army is so small for Value. I'm just like scared. I see the armies every time, and I was like, my heart jumps for both players because like it's such a hard position now. They've had such huge hitting blows back and forth. What is it, Joe Frazier versus Muhammad Ali, man? Just huge fight. No one's going down. We're going to the later stages, and I mean, eventually it's gonna be a victor, but who? Who's gonna do it?
Those would be valuable to bring, but oh no, the Colossus is caught by a fungal growth. Infested Terrans everywhere, and Sasquatch is gonna get a really big win there, taking out a major splash damage unit belonging to the TSL Protoss.
Yeah, suddenly it becomes way harder to deal with infested Terrans now. You just have the 2 Archons in front, but their health points, they're actually pretty low.
He has a fungal.
Yeah, and they're all grouped up too. They just naturally group up so well. These Archons and these Stalkers, oh, they group so nicely.
Actually, he is a neural parasite, Tim, and no range on that Colossus. If Sasquatch could capture an Archon with a neural parasite, this game could end instantly.
Dude, you're so right. Even if you just like use a few of them on Zealots turn around, they do decent DPS as well, and they force the Stalkers to bring back any neural parasite at the moment is such a good idea. Dude, you're so smart. Like, applause for Kibbles, guys.
Applause to Sasquatch for researching that. He did it as an afterthought. He didn't do it initially. It was after that first engagement with the mothership where he lost everything. He decided to research it, and it could pay off in dividends right now and make this a very easy engagement for him. In fact, if he can capture both of these Archons, this game is 100% over.
Well, it looks like Value knows that he's like, you know what, I need to fight. I need to engage. I got to make something happen, because as the game progresses, he just constantly gets stronger because he has the energy here. He's going to go ahead and go for, I guess, a base race with, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Stalkers there, a couple of Archons, and a few Zealots, and we just have Sasquatch sharking around now, trying to find an opportunity to catch something. Yeah.
Oh, and get ready for it. It might happen. The Infestors.
He's baiting with the Overseer.
He is. That Archon is very much caught out of position right now. All the units stopping. He starts throwing down the infested Terran eggs.
I think it may be a little bit premature. He should have waited till the hatchery is attacking, but he still gets a fungal here. He needs to follow up with chain fungals here. He can potentially just finish the game. Infested Terrans have been popped off. The Stalkers do blink away. Nice control here from Value, but we're to the very last seconds here. This has got to be the last engagement for sure. I don't know, though. We've had so many of them. The Archon standing in between everything here. They're doing the splash damage on the eggs, and the eggs are being killed off. Wait, no. Has Value done this? He's killing him.
Well, he lost a couple of Infestors there because the splash damage from the Archon was actually able to kill some Infestors while shooting the Overseer. But the hatchery has fallen. Still a lot of Zealots do remain. Value is continuing to churn out units. Only 28 supply remaining for Sasquatch, and it doesn't seem in that engagement, Tim, that he was able to realize he could have neural parasited those Archons, which was turned out to be quite a devastating blow to Sasquatch, who almost killed nothing in that fight and blew a ton of energy.
Oh man, Value's shields are at least replenishing as well. He took a lot of damage there, but suddenly he's gonna have his shields back. He's just pushing forward. He's gotta be careful not to have it. Oh my gosh, if he catches these spine crawlers before they're able to actually burrow in, oh my gosh, everything's
Nice
grouped up.
fungal
The Zelda
growth,
land.
though.
2 fungals do land once again. Are there any more fungals available for Sasquatch? It does look very low on energy. I don't think so. The DTs are in the mix as well. Every time an Infestor does pick up, he's brought the Observer. He had an Observer the whole time. GG! Sasquatch loses Value, taking the game. What? What was that game? I don't even...
Oh, man.
Like, I'm exhausted
That was
from
an insane game.
Oh my gosh.
I need a coffee.
Yeah, I need a drink from that. I wish I could do like analysis, but like the game was so long. There were so many points that like focused on certain key engagements, and Value he just sat back and played so defensively and made things work for him in situations that a lot of Protoss players would have just crumbled underneath. Fantastic job by Value. Sasquatch making a lot of mistakes though, in my opinion, when we get into the late game. He didn't transition well, and he was afraid to ever engage.
Yeah, it definitely was tough for him, and we got to also commend Value on his harass, which just did, after those Mutalisks died, he went, okay, I'll make a Warp Prism. And he did work with that, cleaning up the main base, then coming down to the natural where Sasquatch had all of his vital production facilities. From there, started cleaning up those extraneous expansions, did a fantastic job macroing behind it. Beautifully played game out of Value. Sasquatch taking it so close with that gorgeous mid-game, but not able to carry that to victory.
Man. That's all I gotta say about that. Guys, the next match looks like it's going to be, is it Trimester?
Yeah, Trimester coming out next for Complexity, but we actually have had a very close set so far. Looking forward to this game.
Yeah, man, let's go ahead and run a commercial and get ready for the next one. Let's get some water.
We'll see you guys on the other side. Hope you enjoyed that game between Sasquatch and Value.